same way. So let's just name it. Something has shifted. And if you don't understand what it is and fast, it's going to hit your business harder in 2026. That's why I'm making this video. This is a survival guide that I wish someone else would have handed to me years ago. And the reason why is that what I'm going to share with you has proven to make service firms thrive in any market, but it also makes you bulletproof when times are good and resilient and profitable when times are tough. What's actually happening is likely going to get a lot harder. So I'm going to share with you what's actually happening, why it's about to get harder, and what you need to do to stay ahead of it instead of getting blindsided. All right, so let's talk about why all of this feels so shaky right now, because it's not random and it's definitely not just happening to you. So there are some very real shifts that are happening underneath the surface that most CEOs have not put words to yet. But once you see them, everything you've been feeling will start to make a lot more sense. So let me walk you through what's actually going on. You know that shaky, unpredictable feeling that you've had this year? There's a reason for it. And it's because the market is shifting underneath you. And it's happening so subtly that you might not have actually noticed it until you saw it show up in your numbers, or in sales calls that used to be easy wins, or in clients who suddenly needed to have 12 rounds of justification for something that would have been a really easy yes last year. So let's talk about what's driving this in plain English. So first, clients are scared, even the strong ones. They're not saying it out loud, but you can feel it in their behavior. Budgets froze in a week, then unfreeze, then half freeze again. They're waiting, they're watching, they're hesitating, they're gun shy. And anytime a client is scared, decision-making slows. They want more proof, they want more certainty, they want more reassurance, which means you end up in this weird place where you're doing all this heavy lifting emotionally on top of the actual client work. Clients are freezing right now like a deer in the headlights, and if you can't help them calm down and see this bigger possibility throughout all this mess, they're going to cut budgets or perhaps your work entirely. And that means that you cannot be freezing in your company either. You need to actually be modeling the behavior that they need to show up in order for them to get the best results too. Being able to act from a place of abundance rather than fear so that you can actually lead your clients and prospects. Number two, buyers don't trust the market. And honestly, I don't blame them. There's a lot of over-promising, they're under-delivering, a lot of experts who aren't truly experts. You've probably experienced it in your own company too. So what's happening is that clients have their guard way up. And it means that if you're still leading with, here's what we do websites, we do marketing, we do leadership consulting. If you're leading with what you do, you sound like everyone else and you will blend in with the noise. And blending in right now is lethal. Number three, expectations have doubled, but budgets have not. This one hurts. Clients want more results, faster, with less risk. Meanwhile, every single cost in your business is rising. And this is the part that no one really talks about because you feel it every month. Margins are just tighter and you can't just hustle your way out of it, and you can't just wish your way out of it or tell your team, try harder. This is a structural shift. Number four, the pace of change is ridiculous right now. This is the part that overwhelms even the strongest CEOs. And what used to take 5 years to change now changes in 6 months. And your clients' industries are morphing. AI is reshaping everything faster than people can learn how to use it, and competitors are adapting at an uneven pace. Some get sharper, some collapse, and clients just don't know who to trust or what to believe, so they default to wait, which is the death of your pipeline. Number five, and all of this is landing directly on your shoulders. Your team still expects direction. Your client still expects stability. Your business still needs growth. And you're the one standing here thinking, I'm supposed to be the calm one, but I don't feel calm. And this is the moment where CEOs crack or they rise. And the ones who rise, they're the ones who get a clear picture of what's happening before the rest of the market catches on. So that's what's happening right now. But let's talk about what's coming, because this is the part that catches even really good firms off guard. And if you thought this year was unstable, well, 2026 is very likely going to make those cracks a whole lot more visible. And not in a dramatic overnight kind of way, but in that slow creeping way where one day you wake up and realize you're working harder than ever, but nothing is working as it should and profits are getting thinner and thinner, perhaps making you wonder, is it all worth it? Well, let me walk you through what's going on. So first, buyers are hesitating right now. They're about to get even colder. And a lot of these companies are in this wait and see mode. Well, they're not saying yes, but they're not saying no either. They're just stalling. And in 2026, that hesitating turns into tightening. Not because they don't need your help, but anything that's not tied directly to mission critical outcomes is going to get questioned and it's going to get cut if your work feels like it's nice to have. If you're seen as a vendor, or if you're positioned like something they could do internally, you're the easiest thing for the CFO to cut without even blinking. Second, firms that have been able to get away with this vague language, this general positioning, doing good work and hoping that that's enough, well, it has been enough for a while, but it's been enough if you have a decent network to draw off. Well, next year, those firms who don't stand for something clear, specific, and high value, they're going to get wiped out fast. And not because they aren't skilled, but because buyers won't spend 6 weeks trying to figure out what makes you different and also how they can de-risk investing working with you. They don't have the mental space for it. Third, expectations are going to spike. Clients are already expecting more for less. That trend isn't going to slow down. And after playing with AI for 5 minutes and seeing what it's capable capable of instantly, they're going to expect bigger impact, bigger outcomes, more visibility, and clearer ROI. And they are going to expect all of that without doubling their budget too. This means that the firms who deliver in a sloppy way, slowly, or without a clear narrative of progress, they're going to feel the pressure more than ever. Fourth, the emotional labor is going to increase. This is the one CEOs underestimate. Clients who are stressed, they require leadership. Clients who are scared, they require direction. Clients who are under pressure require clarity on what's going to drive the needle. Those that are not prepared to lead through that emotional fog will burn out far before their business does. And here's the biggest one. The gap between strong firms and struggling firms is about to widen dramatically. The middle is going to disappear. And you're either that firm that clients seek out because you make them feel safe, supported, and confident, or you're that firm that they're going to cut because they don't feel that from you. They don't feel that leadership. And there's really not going to be much in between. So here's the opportunity. Okay, now we've been talking about how it's going to get harder. Let's talk about something more important. Why this might actually be the best moment in a decade to grow, if you play it right. I know this sounds strange after everything I just said, but hear me out, because this is where things get interesting. Every time the market tightens like this and clients get stressed and budgets get questioned and firms start panicking, a massive reset happens. And the firms who are coasting, they get exposed. And the ones that are underpricing, they're going to get squeezed. And the ones who are relying on referrals and being easy to work with are slowly drifting towards irrelevance. But the firms who know how to lead, they're leapfrogging everyone. And this moment right now is one of those rare moments where the window is open. And let me show you where the real opportunity is, because most CEOs don't see it until it's too late. First, there's more available talent right now than we've seen in years. Strong talent. People who you could never have hired before, perhaps. Because when firms start to play defense, when things start to feel shaky, when owners pull back and they freeze hiring, their best people quietly slip out the back door. And you can scoop up A players who are hungry, who are motivated, who are ready to work with a leader who actually has a plan. What this means is that you can rebuild your team in a way that you couldn't before when the market felt, quote, normal. That's a gift if you move before everyone else realizes it. And also, if you're willing to let go of dead weight on your team, if you're willing to look at people on your team and realize that like they are not at the level that's getting us to the goal we have to, they're not innovative enough for the direction we want to grow. And that's a hard call, especially when you have emotional connections with people, but you really have to be looking at where I want to take the company and be willing to make those hard calls if you want to be able to bring in the exceptional level of team that's going to drive the company forward. Number two, clients are starving for leadership and almost no one is giving it. And this is the part that I want you to hear. Clients don't want vendors right now. They want someone who makes them feel safe, safe to invest, safe to take action, and safe to stop spiraling in uncertainty. And most firms are actually not stepping into that role. And in most cases, if I actually said to a CEO of one of these firms, you're showing up like a vendor, they would feel very offended, very offended. But the reality is that most firms are actually acting like vendors. And even if they're not acting like vendors, even if in their mind, they're actually driving a lot of value, and there's this invisible gap here. And if you're not able to actually connect the dots between the two, you will be seen as a vendor. And that's the problem. And those that are too busy panicking themselves, they're not going to be that firm that brings the clarity and direction and that sense of calm. This is what makes you indispensable. Not nice to have, but necessary. That's the biggest advantage that you can create in 2026. Third, AI is quietly becoming your new leverage, if you're smart about it. This isn't about replacing people. It's about increasing capacity without adding payroll. Now, AI lets you deliver faster, create cleaner processes, analyze data more deeply, cut redundant hours, and improve consistency. And a firm that can deliver outcomes with speed and precision, well, in this market, that is a winning firm. Now, for over a decade, we've been helping firms position as the top 1 to 5% in their space and really become the very best. And they're able to win in any market because of that reason. And now we have these exceptional tools to be able to leverage, to be able to build these outcomes and to deliver with more excellence. Now, your advantage is that most firms are just jumping on the AI bandwagon and they're using it to speed up mediocre work that's quickly becoming obsolete. That's your advantage when you can use AI to be able to deliver compelling outcomes that your clients wouldn't want to live without. 4, innovation becomes easier when clients are scared. When things feel stable, buyers get really complacent. But when the ground starts to shake, they're open, they're listening, they're willing to try new approaches, new offers, new frameworks, as long as you make it feel safe. This is the perfect moment to reposition, to refine your offer, to solve a clear problem, and to move into a higher value category. When clients are desperate for answers, the firm that brings a new perspective reactive often becomes the firm that they trust for years. 5, this is the moment when the bold firms rise and stay on the top when the dust settles. Every industry goes through these cycles, and right now consulting is in this compression phase. But compression creates disruption, and disruption creates a whole new category of leaders. And if you can move quickly, if you can communicate clearly, and if you choose to make smart strategic shifts, you won't just survive 2026, you're going to come out a stronger leader with a stronger team, better margins, better clients, and a more focused business than you'd have in years. This is an upside that no one's talking about. It literally allows you to catapult years, maybe decades ahead in your career and your business trajectory, where other firms in the past may have spent decades getting to that point. You can get there in a matter of years, very short amount of years, months even, because you're able to really give your buyers what they want, which is the confidence, which is the outcomes, and which is being able to solve these painful problems in a way that no one else is giving them a solution for. So here's where this leaves you. You can ignore what's happening in the market and you can pretend that it's not happening more. You can keep telling yourself it's going to stabilize soon. But here's the thing. Disruption from geopolitical conflicts, economic instability, and exponential technological advances, it's our new normal. And it's time we get used to that and become the solution to the problem for our clients. We definitely can't build next year's plans on the same assumptions that we had last year. It's just not going to work. But the good news is that you're early. You're paying attention. And because you're paying attention, you still have the time to reposition your firm on the right side of what's coming. But the moves you make next matter. You can't afford guesswork right now. You need a focused plan. You need to know exactly where to put your energy so you don't get caught with your pants down in 2026 as the tide further recedes. This video you're watching right now, this is a survival guide, the briefing, the truth about what's shifting underneath our feet right now. But the next video is where I show you exactly how to stay on the right side of it. So what to tighten, what to shift, and where the leverage points actually are, and how to be able to protect your business in a way that most CEOs won't figure out until they're already underwater. When you're ready, go ahead and watch part 2 on how to stay on the right side of 2026. It's the roadmap for what to actually do next. If you want help future-proofing your firm, join us in the next executive briefing. If you've been listening and you've been thinking, yes, this is exactly what I want. I just need someone to lead me through this. Well, that's what the executive briefing is all about. And you can join us on this briefing. It's free, it's live, and I'm going to show you how consulting and agency CEOs are strengthening their positioning, they're raising their value, and building offers that are impossible to cut. Even in tough markets, I'm going to be sharing with you case studies. You can ask me any questions you want, and I'm going to show you a plan that's not only going to make your firm relevant, but also show you how to be able to double your net profits in the next 12 months. So if you want your 2026 plan to be intentional instead of reactive, this is where you should be. So go watch the next video, and if you're ready to future-proof your firm, grab your seat at the next executive briefing.